Hey there friends, Travis here. If you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you, and of course, if you've been here before, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to save money when booking your next cruise. Hopefully you find these tips helpful. I use all 5 of these pretty much every time I book a new sailing, and they have worked well for me. And as you know, I do travel a lot, so I hope I can extend that knowledge on to you so that you can get the best bang for your buck on your next cruise vacation. I've got Callie behind me, so we know it's going to be a good one. If at any point you like what you see, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things. And without any further delay, let's go ahead and move right on into the video. As many of you probably know, cruises can get very expensive if you're not careful, and as someone who travels as often as I do, I've got to keep costs down as best as I can. So one of the biggest ways I save money, and this isn't for everyone, but if it's something you think you could handle, I do recommend booking an inside cabin. This can save you hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, especially if you do like a guarantee or something, if you're not too picky about where you're located on the ship. I've actually been upgraded when I've done guarantees before because sometimes they'll overbook and sell out, and then I end up in a room with a window or very rarely a balcony. So yeah, this is sort of 2-in-1. Book an inside cabin is the main bullet point, but also book a guaranteed in any category, and that will obviously guarantee you a spot on the ship and almost always save you money. So yeah. And for my second money saving tip, this is actually a really big one. You just got to make sure you do it the correct way, and that's book during a flash sale. I find that Black Friday is the best. I've booked quite a few sailings during Black Friday and saved hundreds of dollars. They often have incentives like onboard credit, things like that. So yeah, book during a flash sale. They have them throughout the year, usually around major holidays, but you definitely can't go wrong if you book during those sales, and I've had really good luck with that. So yeah, I hope you will too. And for my third bullet point, I think it's really important that you book at the right time. And I know that sort of sounds like what I just said about the flash sale, but what I mean by that is time in reference to your sailing. So book very far in advance. That's definitely going to save you money, especially like the day that they open up the sailings for, you know, the new year or the new ship or, you know, whatever it is. That's when you're going to get absolutely the best savings on those sailings. But also sometimes last minute can really be a good way to go about it, especially if you live near a major cruise port and, you know, don't have to stress too much if you don't find a deal, because that's a risk. If you're like, I'm going to check for sailings next week and there's going to be one and it's going to be cheap. Don't count on that. That's very often not true, especially lately. I've noticed Alaska has good last minute deals a lot of the time. Disney sometimes drops them, and then the Florida ports, especially Miami, will have them quite often. So yeah, check that out. So either way far in advance or very last minute, whatever works best for you and your situation. You can usually find money saving opportunities and sailings, etc. if you do that. So yeah. For number 4, and again, this isn't for everyone, but I recommend that you book an older ship if you're trying to save money. Now, of course, every ship and every sailing and every cruise line is different, so that may not be the best way to go about it for you. You may end up on a ship where there's no one your age, or there's not a lot of amenities, or, you know, whatever. So definitely do your research on that. But I don't mind the older, smaller ships sometimes. It, you know, is a different vibe and a much more relaxing vibe, in my opinion. And I usually am good at meeting people, and I've gotten lucky that there have been people my age basically on every ship I've been on. But yeah, those older ships tend to be a lower price point because they don't have to pay for roller coasters and cantilevered bars and giant water slides and extra things like that. The entertainment tends to be more theater-based, much more, you know, live entertainment-based. Than, you know, having all the bells and whistles. But of course there'll be pools and hot tubs and all those usual things as well. So like I said, I don't mind it as a one-off here and there. If this is your one and only cruise vacation and you've never sailed before, make sure you do the research to get on the right ship and stuff. And if you do end up disliking your first sailing, don't give up on cruising. You know, there's definitely a cruise ship out there for everyone. Unless you were feeling sick before you even left the harbor, or like, you know, you felt claustrophobic the whole time, I'd say, you know, try again and find the right ship for you. But for me, a good way to save money sometimes is to book a smaller, older ship, and I enjoy it. And for my last bullet point, and this is sort of a 2-in-1 as well, I'll just call it book through a third party. The first part, I'm going to talk about travel advisors a little bit. They definitely have the best rates and They'll take care of everything for you. They even have incentives for onboard credit and stuff like that. So if you can find yourself a good TA, I definitely recommend that. But the other part is that sometimes I find really good deals just looking at Expedia and different third-party sites like that. I've especially noticed that with Royal Caribbean. For some reason, they give those third-party sites really good deals sometimes. I do have to caution you that sometimes if you book through a third-party site or even a TA, you may end up having difficulty making changes to your reservation and stuff like that, depending on what discount codes and stuff are used and how it works. I was recently trying to prepay gratuities before they went up, and I had to do that through Expedia. I couldn't do that when I called Royal, because basically the way it works is you're assigned an agent at Expedia and they're in charge of taking care of those sorts of things. You can add drink packages and extra entertainment stuff through the Royal site. Like, all of that looks the same and works the same. But as far as some of that nitty and gritty, like gratuity stuff, or if you need to change the sailing date or any of that stuff, you're going to have to go through Expedia or go through your TA to make that happen. The good thing about it is that TAs usually have more leverage with the cruise line. They sometimes have contacts higher up and things like that. So if you do need to make changes, it's usually a non-issue, and they usually waive fees and things if they can. So that's definitely something to consider. If you have status with the third-party site like I do with Expedia, they're very good at trying to accommodate and make changes for you and doing the best they absolutely can to retain your business. But yeah, so booking with a third party or even with the TA does add some extra elements, but it definitely gets you a boatload of extra perks. So yeah, that's definitely something I would consider as a way to save money. But anyway, those are my top 5 money saving tips. Let me know in the comments below if you found this list helpful. I know some of this stuff gets repeated around the interwebs quite a bit. But I did try to include things that are maybe a little different that you haven't heard as much. And if you have more to add to it, if you're, a seasoned sailor or whatever the case may be, feel free to comment that stuff down below as well. Let's open up that discussion and help each other out as best as we can. But anyway, I want to thank you all so much for traveling with me. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those fun things. We'll talk soon, and y'all have a good night.